From a luxurious automobile entirely encrusted with diamonds to a fantastic flying carpet machine, today we plunge into the world of incredible automotive creations capable of astonishing even the most skeptical individuals. In this episode, we present 20 amazing, highly unusual cars from all around the globe that break every mold. From a majestic pickup house to an amphibious wonder car that can dive underwater, each specimen here is a brand new revelation. Be sure to watch until the end, because you are in for a genuine parade of mechanical wonders. They say that nothing catches the eye as powerfully as diamonds glimmering in the sunlight. It was precisely diamonds that adorned a special edition of a legendary German automobile, showcased in one of the Middle Eastern countries. To celebrate a landmark anniversary for a well-known model line, the creators decided to dazzle the public with a genuine treasure on wheels. The craftsmen who worked on this concept covered the body with a huge quantity of diamonds and trimmed the interior in expensive fur. Such luxurious details draw everyone's attention because even the slightest damage could require a repair cost comparable to the price of a good house. Naturally, the owner of this masterpiece loves to show off this car at private exhibitions. As for speeding down the highway, very few dare. Too great is the fear of scratching that shining finish. Additional rumors claim the interior conceals a couple of secret features accessible only to a select few. There are also legends that this automobile might be the most well-protected of all. Supposedly, the owner equipped it with a security system comparable to the special technology used for the highest-level state vehicles. Of course, there is no proof, but the rumor only adds to its charm and intrigue. Before we continue marveling at the next wheeled masterpiece, allow us to remind you, please rate this episode and subscribe, and so you do not miss future gripping stories, be sure to click on the bell. Sometimes it seems people's imaginations know absolutely no limits. Imagine if, instead of regular tires, someone put ordinary rolls of toilet paper on a car. It sounds like some wild idea, but an online video once appeared showing an inventive person who did exactly that. He removed the tires and replaced them with giant rolls of paper, after which he was surprised to discover that the car could indeed move. Maybe not at cosmic speed, but it certainly looked truly epic. Audience opinion was divided. Some insisted it was a pointless prank, while others admired the creativity and resourcefulness. Who would have thought that a typical garden shed could become a participant in an exciting race for speed? But one incredibly inventive individual from the United Kingdom decided to bring this crazy idea to life. He installed a powerful turbocharged engine inside an ordinary wooden garden hut, kept the characteristic wooden cladding and flooring, and added aerodynamic elements that certainly had never existed in the original design. The result is a construction that can be unmistakably taken for a country storage shed, yet it can race along a sandy beach at 100 or more miles per hour. Most astonishing of all, the owner obtained official recognition for this vehicle as a legitimate road participant. On the inside, there are seats and a dashboard for convenience, and the thrilling sensation of driving it reminds you that even though it's souped up, it still has the shape of a humble shack. Word has it that the next step is an even more powerful engine, so it can compete with racing sports cars. Once, in the distant decades of the past century, a famous designer decided to outdo all possible standards of luxury and comfort. He took a large American car as the base and turned it into a vehicle spanning over 30 meters in length. The number of wheels became so great that you could easily get confused about which end was the front and which was the rear. And inside, there was a genuine palace, even featuring an area for a swimming pool and a jacuzzi. They say that once, such feats of engineering served as exhibit models and were transported on freight platforms, because heading out onto public roads was far from simple and sometimes altogether impossible. Nevertheless, this legendary limousine survived its era and even ended up in a museum to inspire the younger generation of auto mechanics. Furthermore, According to rumors, someone tried to recreate a similar version, but ran into countless technical issues. After all, keeping such a lengthy automobile stable on turns is not a trivial task. On top of that, the developers came up with two drivers' cabins, one in the front and one in the back, so that, when driving in reverse, you could control this real car train. Imagine a compact city car that suddenly decides to become a giant off-roader. That is precisely the kind of project undertaken by a well-known Greek off-road racing champion at one point. He took a tiny smart car and combined it with components from a serious military truck, famed for its incredible off-road capabilities. Hidden inside this beast is a diesel engine from a heavy truck, which allows it to conquer any rugged terrain with ease. The wheels are so massive that their diameter is several times larger than those of the base Smart. The result? A perfect combination of the miniature silhouette of a well-known microcar and a giant chassis that creates the impression of a surreal toy, as if you are looking at a funny little toy car from childhood, except now it can really crush rocks and jump over shallow ditches. Most astonishingly, the owner occasionally holds demonstration runs, proving that this hybrid is not merely decorative, but fully functional. In the past century, humanity was eager to break the most unbelievable records, including those involving land speed. That is how the Bluebird came into being, a car that was far ahead of its time in many technical respects. It was based on a gas turbine engine, and the design incorporated an extremely strong aluminum frame. The vehicle was developed specifically to set a new record, and in the end, it managed to accelerate to mind-boggling speeds on a salt flat. Even though the project was intended to overcome an even more fantastic speed threshold, weather conditions and the track surface caused complications. But what the engineers achieved was enough for Bluebird to earn its place in automotive history as one of the symbols in the race for incredible speed. Among the interesting facts, the original braking system, which included special brake flaps and an extraordinarily complex cooling system, without which such a high-powered engine would simply have boiled itself from the inside out. Tuning experts sometimes love to cause a real stir by creating cars that look as if they were assembled upside down. One craftsman in the United States of America took a popular pickup truck, flipped its body upside down, then welded it onto another modified car section, keeping fully functional wheels and an operational engine. At first glance, passers-by feel certain the vehicle has been in a terrible accident and is stuck with its wheels in the air. But suddenly, it sets off as though nothing had happened. Most surprising of all, this project is absolutely legal and even has a license plate. The owner jokingly chose a telling personalized inscription for his plate that highlights the unique point of his creation. They say people often approach him in parking lots asking if he has lost his mind. But once you take a closer look, you realize the whole idea is a witty piece of humor combined with excellent mechanical know-how. If you hear the name Batman, you immediately think of that same combat car the hero uses to fight evil. In the movie chronicles, it is a dark and intimidating machine with hidden functions. It can switch to combat mode, launch missiles, hide in the night, and even activate a special silent drive. Legend has it that the prototype was originally designed as a military vehicle capable of literally jumping over chasms using onboard rocket boosters. When modern technology came along, it led to the emergence of a vehicle called the Tumbler, which got a powerful engine and amazed everyone with its futuristic design. Its driver could switch to a special attack mode in which the seat moved closer to the center for better protection and more precise handling. Additionally, the machine was equipped with a fire suppression system and the ability, if necessary, to switch to electric drive, making it almost silent in the dark. It is no wonder moviegoers adore scenes featuring the Batmobile, as it is like a futuristic combat platform come to life. In the post-war era, banned aircraft engines sometimes found surprising new uses. In Germany, for example, after large stocks of retired airplane motors were left unused, enthusiasts decided to build something truly extraordinary. Thus, Brutus appeared, a vintage early 20th century chassis outfitted with a 12-cylinder aircraft engine of monstrous displacement. Picture a barrel filled with pistons, each the size of a sizable cooking pot, and a chain drive to the rear wheels. The car itself looks intimidating. There is virtually no driver protection beyond a small grille, because the engine is located just inches from the person behind the wheel. And when you start Brutus, it belches fire and roars like a real monster. Even more astonishing is knowing that such experiments were once not considered all that unusual. Anyone who has seen Brutus in action will never forget its roar and fiery flashes. Dreams of the future always bring forth unusual ideas, like an electric car shaped like a pyramid. One inventor from the United States of America brought this vision to reality, creating a striking structure from strong materials and powering it with dozens of batteries. On a full charge, this giant machine could travel a considerable distance and, the creator claimed, cost him significantly less to run than any standard gasoline car. Somehow, there was still room inside for a complex dashboard, and around the driver's seat were layers of bulletproof glass. The inventor admits that at first, many people laughed at him because the idea of building a vehicle with walls converging into a cone shape seemed too outlandish. However, in practice, that streamlined form gave the car additional downforce thanks to the airflow, meaning better stability on turns. What's more, the engineer promised to refine the model so that it could reach much higher speeds, and there is reason to suspect he really can pull it off. In distant times, when a famous French tire company took part in automobile development, a monstrous test vehicle was born, bearing the telling name PLR. Its dimensions were awe-inspiring. A huge number of axles, a specially enhanced body, and in the central section was a specialized unit for testing large-sized tires. The machine's length stretched many meters, and its weight was enormous. But the key detail was that the rear portion featured several powerful engines meant to rotate that same central wheel around which the entire contraption was designed. Once this machine accelerated on the track, the hydraulic system would raise or lower key components in order to test how a specific tire would perform. Today, the Michelin PLR is better known as a museum piece, for it fulfilled its role in advancing the tire industry and went down in history. Rumor has it that from time to time, it is still operated for demonstrations at exhibitions, showcasing the once innovative might of the French automotive world. In the very beginning of the previous century, on the streets of Kolkata, there might have appeared a strikingly eccentric automobile resembling a gigantic snow-white swan. They say a wealthy Scotsman commissioned this luxury item from craftsmen in England so he could drive around the city roads and astound passers-by. It was as if the car swam along the pavement. A swan's head protruded at the front, able to emit steam to clear people or wandering animals out of the way. On the sides, special brushes were mounted to clean dirt off the wheels. Rumor has it that this swan caused such a commotion that it was even prohibited from certain city streets for provoking panic. One way or another, the vehicle eventually changed hands, then was restored, and now resides in a museum, preserving its genuine interior of luxurious materials and a visually striking exterior. In one wealthy Middle Eastern country, there is a unique collection of cars that even the heroes of science fiction films would envy. Among them stands out an oversized version of a classic mid-20th century pickup. The truck was scaled up many times over, keeping every detail of the original, from the iconic lines to the emblems. But it is not just a display piece. Inside the colossal body, a fully equipped living space has been arranged with a kitchen, several rooms, air conditioners, and even a viewing deck on the upper level. Whenever there is a desire to move this automotive house over a short distance, it is powered by a mighty engine from heavy construction equipment, enabling it, slowly but surely, to move on its own. Admittedly, driving onto urban thoroughfares is not very convenient, but the owner is satisfied with the few times it makes an appearance, enhancing another auto parade and astonishing curious onlookers once again. Some people dream of a car that can transform into a real home and then detach, leaving behind only a compact chassis. Thus came about a concept called Kalem, combining a small car and a modular mobile house. While you travel, the house is attached at the back, resembling a traditional camper. But when you stop by a scenic riverside, you can disconnect the front part. That means you have a home complete with a kitchen, plus a separate small car for short excursions in the vicinity. Furthermore, the side walls can be reconfigured if necessary, altering the interior layout. The developers claim that this is the perfect option for couples or small families who want the freedom to travel without sacrificing comfort. And the exterior pleases the eye with sleek modern contours, so the Kalem does not look like a bulky truck. Imagine you love Chevrolet trucks so much you cannot let go of either of the two you own, so you decide to fuse them into one. That is how a rather absurd yet amusing project was created, in which two cabs merged, leaving just one set of engine and axles. The result is a two-faced vehicle. At the front, there is a classic Chevy, and at the back, a mirror image of it, only minus the engine. Inside is a huge space that seems like a strange lounge area, where you could perhaps place a mini sofa or convert it into a cargo zone. Of course, driving this creation is not simple, since it is not immediately obvious which side is the real front and which is the fake. But the creator of this project admits that the whole idea was more a joke, as well as a test of his skills. The wheels on the rear section spin freely, yet somehow this machine still attained legal status and even took part in several car shows, stirring up a storm of emotion among onlookers. When an old passenger airplane lost its ability to take to the skies, a talented inventor in Mexico devised a way to give it a new life. He removed the wings and tail and merged the fuselage with the chassis of a large bus. That gave birth to a genuine airplane limousine. Inside, there is a spacious lounge, seats, a bar counter, and even a small dance floor. In the cockpit, a steering wheel and control panel from a heavy truck were installed, and a diesel engine took care of the propulsion. The vehicle itself turned out extremely large and heavy, so a reinforced braking system was added. As a result, this limousine traveled certain tourist routes for a while, astonishing anyone who spotted an airplane fuselage rolling down the street. At one automotive auction, the owner decided to sell his creation, promising in the listing that the interior contained a real rest corner with a fireplace and plenty of plush seats. Rumor has it, someone tried to put a mini helipad on the roof, but ultimately settled for reinforcement so that open-air parties could be held up there. When we see in the movies a car diving underwater, we usually take it as pure fantasy. Yet in the real world, Swiss engineers brought this dream to life, drawing inspiration from a legendary sports car brand. They created the Rinspeed sQuba, an electric car that can not only drive on highways but also submerge, using special thrusters and propellers. The driver and passengers don diving gear, and the cabin is made of waterproof materials that dry quickly after surfacing. The streamlined body, reminiscent of a famous British sports car, was strengthened to withstand pressure at modest depths. Of course, it is not a full-fledged submarine for extended expeditions, but, according to eyewitnesses, the experience is dizzying. It feels like going on an underwater voyage behind the wheel of a chic ride. Plus, the car operates on electric power, adding to its vehicle from the future vibe. In one hot desert country, they appreciate extraordinary records and love to enlarge everything to colossal proportions. So it happened with a classic military Jeep from past global conflicts. Someone had the idea to make it about 4 times bigger than the original. The end result is an enormous vehicle whose tires nearly reach an adult's shoulders and whose height is comparable to a small building. Inside, there is enough space for several people to move around freely. In fact, a few ingenious folks even installed furniture for a bit of casual lounging. Interestingly enough, this giant replica is not just a statue. It has an engine that allows it to travel across reasonably level desert sands. Naturally, navigating narrow city streets in such a monster is nearly impossible. But for local wealthy collectors who love to astonish the world, that is just one more reason to boast. My Jeep is bigger than anyone else's. If you ever suddenly feel like taking a trip in a car shaped like a giant piece of fruit, one American enthusiast has the solution. He took a sturdy pickup chassis, built a frame in the form of a long banana, and covered it with layers of special foam and fiberglass. The result was a bright yellow vehicle with seats arranged in a row inside. The machine is fitted with a powerful engine and, by all accounts, can zoom along the highway quite spiritedly. Not only did the owner drive his banana all over the country, visiting various states, but he also gladly gave rides to anyone interested. According to his stories, people everywhere reacted with delight, because encountering such a fruity vehicle on the road is a true rarity. In addition, he came up with his own official motto, claiming his machine is the only real banana car in the world, with rear-wheel drive and a mischievous personality. In the Arabian deserts, there are those who adore the boldest experiments with machinery. One sheikh, famous for his love of gigantic automobiles, decided to build a crossover of unbelievable scale by combining a military truck and the frame elements of a popular SUV. The outcome is an enormous vehicle with numerous axles and wheels, and in length, it rivals a small passenger airplane. Under the hood is a massive diesel engine once used in military hardware, endowed with enough horsepower to power this behemoth over sand dunes. On the inside, according to witnesses, there are plush seats, air conditioning, and panoramic windows for admiring the scenery. Of course, this super off-roader is not for daily driving, but rather for rare, spectacular outings or special automotive showcases. Still, is it not thrilling to realize that even such fantasies can be brought to life in metal? So we have reached the end of our selection of the most original and thrilling automotive projects from across the planet. Each one is unique in its own way, whether it is a gigantic limousine featuring its own swimming pool, a car that confidently ventures underwater without fear, or perhaps a carefree, upside-down design that makes onlookers clutch their heads in disbelief. If you had the chance to add one of these masterpieces to your own garage, which would you choose? Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know, your idea might inspire someone to create an even more astonishing automobile. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through the world of the most outrageous and incredible cars. Stay tuned to the channel because there will be even more amazing stories ahead. We strive to make every episode an unforgettable adventure. See you next time, and remember, nothing can limit human imagination when it comes to creating truly one-of-a-kind automobiles.